兄弟姐妹们，你好，你好吗？我很担心，对不起。我希望你一切都好，谢谢你的支持，我需要你。我知道没有Zoom，我想我不能。我感到沮丧。我知道学普通话的人不多，但普通话帮助我放慢速度。如果你不会说普通话，现在这不是我的问题，这是一种语言。普通话的人会说英语 like all of them. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. 对普通话领让人，他帮助我。谢谢你的支持，对不起，我知道的。怎么办？ I am going to deliver this information maturely, and I pray that it can be received maturely. And just because you won't eat the lion doesn't mean the lion won't eat you. But I would like to remind you that everybody's emotional energy is their own responsibility. To believe otherwise is to put your human energy into the hands of someone else to judge you for it. So you have to take responsibility for your own emotional energy as a human being. And I'm not saying that to insult your intelligence. I'm saying that to give you credit on your own intuitional understandings as a peaceful human being in 2022. You're not going to receive that kind of consideration from compulsive control. And that's not my rule. That's just the nature of it. But I need to speak openly about this, respectfully. I'm not going to say any names or dates. And I appreciate those that can comprehend the severity of my information and remain peaceful within themselves. One more time, our human bodily energy is our own responsibility. If you don't think that I feel like screaming and yelling at this camera as I'm losing everything after doing all this work as an individual, you're fooling yourself. I don't want to be on this camera calmly. I want to be screaming, but I'm not. Thank you for appreciating that. I'm going to talk about how I've seen compulsive control overtaking professions in the world that I myself have not actually worked, but have compassionately spoke to people that have and heard their concerns maturely, respectfully. I know many police officers that feel fairly awkward these days, respectfully. Now, in reference to the topic of the video, say 40 years ago, police officers were respected as individuals to a degree where, say somebody goes through a stoplight, right? And now nobody is harmed, nothing bad happens, but they still went through the stoplight. Logically, nobody was hurt, but that police officer, fulfilling their position, still needs to pull that person over. That's not disputable. The disputable part, from my perspective, in reference to the compulsive control, comes into play in reference to a lot of the police officers don't feel like they have the intuitional right to feel it out, right? If that person should, even if no harm was done, but that person is obviously impaired or something, well, that police officer will know intuitionally to take action to save that citizen and others. But if that officer pulls that person over and sees that it was just a mild misunderstanding, or maybe they saw the yellow light and just kind of shot through it kind of thing, knowing nobody was going to get hurt, and logically and respectfully, that police officer will still pull you over and should. But if that police officer sees with their own eyes and can trust, the situation because they're being given that leeway, well, then that person can just go without penalty, but they still get the slap on the wrist that they deserve, because you can't do that. But modernly, that freedom to kind of judge it is not really there for them. In my understanding, again, I openly admit I am not a police officer, and I'm not speaking for all police officers. I'm just speaking my mind openly and maturely about circumstances from people I've spoke to. You don't have to agree with me. I can have disagreeing honesties with you peacefully. Teachers. God love our teachers. Going through a lot right now, I know. I did see some online schooling with one of my sons near the start of COVID, and I understood a lot of the struggles they were going through. It's hard to keep the students' attention in the classroom, right? So when they're in their own home, it increased the struggle, but there is a lot of great benefits to online schooling, and the teachers can appreciate that too. But since it's a newer concept in reference to the internet and everything, right? And COVID and the way things went on. But it can be very useful, because I need to talk about some teachers that talk to me about this. It's a little awkward for me to talk about, because I know there's a lot of teachers on my Facebook. I know the teachers on my Facebook are awesome teachers. I know that. There's one in particular, I don't like to say names, but Natalie Griffin. She is a stellar teacher. There's no question about it. And anybody that's seen her teach will tell you the same thing. And I don't know if you know what musical teaching and how they can reference it over. She has that. So, thank you, Natalie, for your efforts. But it wasn't Natalie that talked to me about this, respectfully. I'm just giving her credit because I know she deserves it. In being a teacher, like say 40 years ago, like I said with the police officers, the teachers were able to use their own creativity and have a lesson plan, but still almost like a stand-up comedian, judge their classroom, because you can't expect every audience to be the same and you can't expect every classroom to be the same. That's illogical, but good teachers understand that, and they're trying to work with it, and they trust their ability to do so, as long as they have that freedom to teach how they teach, right? And no two teachers are going to teach exactly the same when they're passionate teachers, because if they're passionate about it, it's getting their creativity out and helping children, logistically. So a lot of teachers have had like a lot of strictness put in that degree too, where the information and the ability that the teachers are having, a lot of that creativity and that freeness to do that, it's kind of caused struggle for them. And then additionally, it makes it harder for the children to learn from that teacher, because that teacher isn't really free to use their creativity and intuition in teaching this particular class, the general layout either. And so, in all aspects, respectfully, our teachers need freedom to be teachers, have the class, trust themselves, use their creativity, and teach the children without making it too boring and stuff, right? That's where the creativity comes in. I know a lot of them don't feel that way, respectfully. Lab, workers at the hospital. I've had a few recently that are customers of mine at my work mention that they went through all the med school respectfully, and God bless every one of them. Their information is very vital. They're doing studies on human health and all this stuff, and I know that I am all about prevention, but diseases and things still exist. We still need the meds. We still need their knowledge, and thank God for all of those things, right? Logistically. However, they're saying things like, I want to be looking through microscopes and doing important things, and I worked to do this, and I want to use my mind to do that, and I want to be creative in this direction, and all I'm doing is swabs. Swab every day. So I trained all that, and I have this intuition, and I have this knowledge, and I want to apply this to the medical field. And all I'm fucking doing is swabbing. It's compulsive control. It's causing issues from my perspective, which I'm maturely expressing. So again, your energy is your own responsibility. You don't have to agree with these perspectives. If you work in any of those professions, I'm telling you, I do not, but I have heard out people that have and have expressed legit concerns to me. I feel like modernly, if you work in any of those professions, you could probably understand how people might feel that way, respectfully. Additionally, every one of those people are in the same economy, so you can all relate with financial struggles because it's just the truth. It's just the situation that's at hand. If you have 6 zeros, 2 zeros, it doesn't really matter because you're struggling in a similar light, from my understanding. I do work as a pizza cook, and I know, as someone that's been in the pizza business for a long time, that it is absolutely desperate circumstances for pizza shops to find pizza cooks, like experienced pizza cooks that want to be pizza cooks. And you cannot care about that, but it's not a joke to the pizza business, and the pizza business is a massive business. The reason they're having a hard time keeping people is nobody can afford to live on it, so they don't want to do it. That's not being ignorant to the business, that's being defensive to their own living. They can go and slave in the kitchen and do it, and that business owner knows they can't even pay them properly to survive as an individual because the business is in the same economy as the doctors and the teachers and the police officers. Respectfully. So, I do feel like you will understand that information. I'm not insulting you. And with the broadness of the occupations, severity of the information and its relevancy to our situation in 2022, it feels like the gap is like this. And it just has to happen like this. And we can keep living. But instead, it's doing this. If it does this, it's not because of this. This is struggling to hold on. So if this continues to expand, it's not sourcing from down here. And if you want to solve a problem, you got to go to the source. So the source is here. Now, respectfully, whatever is here earned the right to be there. I'm not disputing you. I'm not disputing you. However, by the rules of the position, it's supposed to be pulling the people towards it. Respectfully. And because it's controlling a nature creature, it's never going to hug, but it should be, maintained at a reasonable degree. And the top is going to grow faster because it's making more. But when the gap is like this, if this decides to just keep going and ignore this, well, the gap is just going to keep doing this. This isn't my rule. And we know that by the nature of it, it should be around here. So when we have this happening, and whatever is here, it doesn't matter what your name is, or the year, or the date, or anything. This has nothing to do with it. It's more broad conversation. whatever is here, if it decides not to do this, it's hurting us. And whatever is here, respectfully, is working for us because we paid into protection from this. So if we pay in to protection from this, and this happens, we paid for this not to happen, and it happened anyway. That's a fraudulent deal to the citizens. That's not my rule. It's not my rule. 感谢你对我一生的工作感兴趣。感谢上帝赐我有生命。我必须去。我爱你们。今天吃得好，保持乐观，度过美好的一天。Because it's important to your well-being. 对所有人的和平与爱。再次感谢上帝。再见。